I don't have any makeup on, and I'm tired because I've been up. Well, I was up until 4 o'clock in the morning, uh, editing and making thumbnails and writing out a new format and ideas and things to do. So during all of that, I decided to post a status. By the way, hey guys, I decided to post a status of who would win in a fight. And I was gonna pick from there of which people I was gonna decide. And one of the best combinations came in, and that was Wonder Woman and Jean Grey. So first, we're gonna talk about a little bit about their powers, and then we're gonna talk about who we think would actually win. So let's move on to Wonder Woman, shall we? Okay, so obviously a lot of people know Wonder Woman, they know what her powers are. She obviously is an Amazonian princess. She's from Themyscira. And she also has super strength. She can fly. She has her gold cuffs that she wears that are bulletproof, which she has used many times to deflect bullets. She uses it to deflect lasers, things of that sort, fire, whatever it is. She uses it. She also has a shield, which she uses for the same thing. And she also has a sword that she has used in many instances, like in Flashpoint Paradox. And she has been shown as being very good at battle. She also has the lasso of truth. Now, she has so many different powers, so it's hard to really just settle on what power is the most important because she uses them all pretty frequently and she kind of interchanges through them. She doesn't really rely on one more than the other. In also some instances, she does have the invisible plane, but we're not going to talk about that because I personally think the invisible plane is stupid. But obviously, she has a sword, she has a shield, she has her gold cuffs, she has her lasso of justice, she has super strength, and she has the ability to fly. She's also very gifted in the art of battle and the art of war, but she also is very much believes in the art of peace and love and acceptance and blah blah blah. That is the Amazonian / Themyscira law. So now let's move on to some of Jean Grey's power. Now with Jean Grey, it's hard to just talk about Jean Grey by herself without also talking about the Phoenix. So I do have a little bit of information about her powers in front of me because I like the X-Men. I have read the X-Men, but I don't know too much about X-Men. I'm not like the biggest X-Men fan, so I do have a little bit about her. So now Jean Grey, as just a telepath, her telepathy allows her to communicate with others telepathically, read the thoughts of others, influence and control the minds of others, project her mind into the astral plane, and generate telepathic force blasts that can stun or kill others. Now, she's also been made as an Omega level mutant, which means she's one of the strongest mutants that has ever been seen. Because she also is a physical host of the powerful Phoenix Force. Now we're going to talk about the Phoenix Force because that, I think that is the most dangerous part of Jean Grey is the Phoenix Force. Because that is where so much more power comes from. And we're going to talk about that. With the Phoenix Force, Jean has potentially limitless psionic powers of telepathy, telekinesis, cosmic pyrokinesis, and energy manipulation. She also can deny people and future generations and things like this existence. And there's a little more of that. Henry McCoy has said that based on her massive power levels on the Richter scale, she'd be a 12. That's if she's actually possessing the Phoenix Force at that time. And when bonded to the Phoenix, she is said to outclass mutants, granting her complete control over matter, energy, thought, and unlimited psionic energies. And she could tap into reserved energies for future generations. That is crazy to me that she has this kind of power. But like I said, that is when she's tapping into the Phoenix Force. Jean Grey by herself is also very dangerous because she has the ability to make you think and see what you want. She can project her mind into other planes. She can read your thoughts, which also is very talented and helpful in battle. She has a long list of powers that can help her, but let's get on to my opinion of who I think would actually win if these two were to actually face off. I made my coffee too sweet today. Okay, now that we've gone through a quick short list of what their powers are, I'm going to give my opinion on who I think would win. Now, most people, I think, would immediately go for Wonder Woman just because of her strength. I think a lot of people would side that way, but I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't side on Wonder Woman, and I know some of you are like, oh my god, why? Yes, Wonder Woman is very strong. She has the knowledge of hand-to-hand combat, of war, of wielding a sword, a shield. She has the cuff. She has the lasso of truth. She has such strength, and she can fly. That's all great. But going back to Jean Grey being able to read thoughts, I think that is something that is way more useful when you're fighting someone than you would think. Now, some people may argue, well, obviously if Wonder Woman's going to fight Jean Grey, she's going to be aware that she could do that. That is true. But you can't stop yourself from thinking something. Like, you can stop it to an extent. You could sit there and be like, okay, I'm not going to think about any of my fighting strategies. But you can do that to an extent. At some point, your brain is going to slip. And you're going to think of something to yourself, especially in the heat of a battle. You're not going to be so focused on keeping your thoughts protected from a telepath. You're going to be thinking to keep your life protected from somebody that can tap into this force that can literally disintegrate you. And that's the thing. With Jean Grey, yes, she can read Wonder Woman's mind, and she can find out what she's going to plan ahead or anything like that. Any type of, I think, I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. Either way, they both have powers, and they're both going to be very well aware of what the other one's powers are. My thing is, I think Jean Grey's powers are on such a magnitudal scale. Magnitudal? That's not a word. They're on such a high scale that it would be almost impossible for me to look at Wonder Woman and say, yeah, even that she would win hands down. I personally think that Jean Grey would use her not standard, but her, high caliber telepathic powers, and then eventually, towards the end of the fight, I think she would tap into her Phoenix Force, and I think she would literally deny Wonder Woman the chance at existence. And I personally think that she would destroy her. And listen, I'm a DC fan. I am a Wonder Woman fan. I love Wonder Woman. I love everything that they've done with her character. I pretty much love everything I've ever seen the character in. But I have to go with the truth, and I personally genuinely think that Jean Grey would win. Hands down, just based off of the fact that she has that. She's an Omega level mutant. She is tapped into the Phoenix Force, and she can literally disintegrate matter. She controls matter, and she controls thought. She could control pretty much anything. How do you beat somebody like that? Like, how do you it's the same age-old thing, like, oh, would Batman really beat Superman? Which I am going to do a video about that, because I do have a lot of interesting thoughts about that. But we're talking about Wonder Woman and Jean Grey today. And I'm telling you right now, I think, in my personal opinion, if there ever was a crossover and Wonder Woman and Jean Grey happened to run into each other on the battle, either one of two things would happen. They would both die at the same time, or Jean Grey would come out victorious. I don't think it would ever end up being Wonder Woman being the only one standing at the end of the fight. That's my personal opinion. Well, okay, that's who would win in a fight today. We were talking about Wonder Woman and Jean Grey. Leave a comment down below of other superheroes you would like to hear about in a fight and hear their powers and see what I think about who would win. Because I actually really enjoyed this. This is kind of fun for me. And I love looking up, you know, in depth about people's powers. Some of them I already know, obviously, but there are going to be people that I like to look in depth, and it's great to find out new things about these people's, you know, these characters' powers, especially, you know, Jean Grey, considering how powerful she actually is. So yeah, leave a comment down in the section and tell me some other superheroes you would like to see in a fight. I have a long list. And thumb up, subscribe. I'm going to be posting nerdy content every day. And Shay posted some videos before. Go check those out. Give those a thumb up and subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow. I love you, my little nerds. Go read a comic book. And maybe I'll put some makeup on and change my clothes. I'm also wearing a Jaws shirt. I did all my editing and all my stuff in a Jaws t-shirt. So that shows where I'm at in life. Ah!